The Dodge Charger EV is here, and it's dividing car enthusiasts faster than a Mustang at a Cars and Coffee. Some say it's the future of muscle. Others say it's the worst thing to happen to car culture since the Pontiac Aztek. But let's be real. Did Dodge just kill the muscle car? I couldn't help but think back to my first job where I had a coworker, Keith. Every lunch break, he'd be scrolling through CJ Pony parts, and every weekend, he was in his garage wrenching on his Terminator Cobra. One day, he let me drive it. The whine of the supercharger, the deep roar of the V8, the way the whole car shook when you revved it. At that moment, I understood muscle cars weren't just about going fast. They were loud, raw, and full of character. They had a soul, so when Dodge announced they were bringing back the Charger, but as an EV, I had one big question. Can an electric car really be a muscle car? To answer that, we need to go back to where it all started. It's 1966. The American car market is booming and young drivers want more speed, more power, more attitude. Pontiac gave them the GTO. Ford had the Mustang. Chevy was gearing up with the Camaro. And then Dodge rolled up with this, the Charger. Long, sleek, and aggressive, it had a fastback roofline and a stance that made it look like it was always ready to pounce. But it wasn't until 1968 that the Charger became a legend. That menacing front grille, hidden headlights, a sculpted body that looked fast even when parked. And when Dodge stuffed a 426 Hemi under the hood, it became a beast. On the streets, it was a monster. But it was Hollywood that cemented its status. If you've seen Bullet, you remember the chase scene. Steve McQueen's Mustang versus a black Dodge Charger RT, roaring through the streets of San Francisco. The Charger was the villain car, and it played the role perfectly. Then came the Fast and the Furious. Dominic Toretto's black 1970 Charger became one of the most iconic movie cars of all time. That wasn't just a fast car, it was a symbol. Brute force, American muscle, the hero. For decades, Dodge doubled down on its muscle car formula one after another. The Hellcat, the Red Eye, the Demon, names that sound like comic book villains. 707 horsepower, 797. Then, 807 in the Charger SRT jailbreak. It was ridiculous, it was over the top, and people loved it. And then, Dodge pulled the plug. Literally. The next generation Charger would be electric. The Charger Daytona EV hits the streets late 2024. Dodge called it the future of muscle, but skeptics weren't convinced. The Charger came in two models, the RT and the Scat Pack. Dodge made bold claims about their performance. The Scat Pack, touted as the world's quickest and most powerful muscle car, boasts a staggering 0 to 60 miles per hour time of just 3.3 seconds. Meanwhile, the RT model offers a respectable 4.7-second sprint to 60 miles per hour. On paper, these numbers are impressive. Proof that an electric muscle car could, at least theoretically, hold its own against its gas-powered predecessors. It sounds impressive until you realize a Tesla Model 3 performance, which costs way less, can leave the Scat Pack gasping at the light. Even with its Scat Pack Stage 2 kit, the Daytona EV struggles to outmuscle its EV competitors. And then there's the Fratsonic chambered exhaust system. Dodge's attempt at making an electric car sound like a muscle car. It pumps artificial engine noises through external speakers, supposedly mimicking the deep growl of a V8. Dodge calls it innovation. Critics call it cringe. It's like a Bluetooth speaker that only plays car noises. Now, let's talk about styling. The Daytona EV's design channels the first and second generation Chargers with a modern twist. Sleek lines and a decluttered finish aim to evoke nostalgia, but for many, the resemblance stops at the badge. It's undeniably clean looking, but does it feel like a Charger? That's where opinions split. Ask any muscle car fan what makes these cars special, and they'll tell you. It's the ability to make them your own. The soul of muscle cars isn't just about factory performance, it's about tuning, modding, and wrenching to squeeze every last bit of power out of the engine. It's about bolting on a bigger intake, upgrading cams, or slapping on a supercharger to turn a factory car into a monster that's uniquely yours. That's the fun of muscle cars. It's not just about driving one, it's about building one. That's why classics like the Charger, Challenger, and Mustang have built such loyal communities. You don't just buy a muscle car, you put in the work, you tweak it,
Need one of these, one of the big ones. Actually, let's make it two.
You make it faster than the guy next to you at the strip. That's the culture. Dodge doesn't understand that EVs kill that culture completely. You can't tune an electric motor. You can't swap out an ECU and eke out more power. With EVs, what you get from the factory is final. Dodge promises power upgrades through software updates, but what's the fun in that? Downloading horsepower over Wi-Fi isn't the same as earning it in the garage. It turns muscle cars from hands-on machines into disposable tech products. Just another app with a paywall. And that's where the Charger Daytona EV loses everything that made the original great. So, did Dodge kill the muscle car? The new electric Charger's specs are electrifying. Too bad the experience isn't what it used to be. What do you think? Can an EV ever be a real muscle car? Or is this the end of an era? Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you buy one? And Dodge, bring back the V8.